Hello, I'm Dave and this is Fiver, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're going to be visiting the tiny little village of Frome St Quintin in Dorset. It's located about 11 miles northwest of Dorchester, and we're going to be walking a roughly 4.5 mile circular route. We'll actually be starting and finishing at the village of Evershot because, well, there's not really suitable parking in Frome St Quintin. We'll then head south from Evershot along a section of the MacMillan Way, past a magnificent manor. We'll cross over the River Frome and head east to Frome St Quintin. We'll have a wander around there before heading north, recrossing the river just south of a little hamlet, and then back to Evershot. As I said, we're starting at Evershot, which is about 13 miles northwest of Dorchester. We won't have a look around there because Logan and I did a video from there a couple of years ago, so if you haven't seen that, do check it out. It is another one of those quite glorious sort of early September days. The sun is out, blue sky, hardly any clouds about. Should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Okay, well, as I said, I've parked my car at Evershot and we're going to start off the walk by heading southwards across a field. I think today is going to be one of those walks where we're going to get some terrific views. So this is the field that we've come across. I'm sort of looking back to the north, and so the little village of Evershot is just behind those trees in the distance. Now we're currently on a section of the MacMillan Way, which is that 290 mile long distance path that goes from, well, Boston in Lincolnshire all the way to Abbotsbury on the Dorset coast. And it was created to promote the awareness of Macmillan cancer relief. I'll tell you, I'm not getting very far on this walk very quickly. I keep stopping just to take some of these views in. They're quite stunning. Well, we're continuing to head south. I tell you, it's getting quite warm now. And I need to look out for a farm which we pass by or pass through called Fortune's Wood Farm. A rather sweet little pond or mini lake there with the reflections of the autumn sunshine. Quite a few dragonflies still about. Very popular with wildlife, that's for sure. And then just panning back, you can see where we've come down along the MacMillan Way, just past that little bit of woodland. Well, we've made our way to this quite magnificent house. It's called Chantmarle Manor. Now, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. I've spoken to 4 locals. 3 called it Chantmarle and 1 called it Chantmarle. So I'm going for Chantmarle. It was originally built here in 1211. John Strode bought it in 1606 from the Cheverell family, and in 1612 completely rebuilt it, adding a chapel on the site, which I think is now a store. In 1951 it became a training centre for the Dorset police, but then that all closed down in the mid-90s, and I think it's now a private house. The name Chantmarle is from the Norman family name of de Chantmarle, who were lords of the manor here in the 13th century. I think it means the song of a blackbird in Norman French. We've just crossed over the River Frome, which you can just see down there. It's 30 miles long and it's a chalk stream. Its source is actually at Evershot. In fact, Logan and I visited the source when we did our walk there. Of course, the river flows eventually into Poole Harbour at Wareham. We're just crossing over a railway line. It's the Heart of Wessex line, sort of Bristol to Weymouth. And I think the next station to the south of here is Maiden Newton. And the next one to the north, I think, is Chetnall. Of course, Logan and I have visited both of those stations. Of course, Chetnall, I think, is the least used station in Dorset. What a lovely display of crab apples. I think it's been a good year for them, judging by the crop that's on those branches there, looking quite terrific in the sunshine. Well, allegedly, there's a footpath across here that should take us to Frome St Quintin. Well, let's see if we can follow it. Well, I think we're going in the right direction. I'm letting Fiver lead the way, relying on his instincts. I mean, according to the map, there's a path across this field. Oh well. We're heading sort of northeast, which is where we need to go. Oh, well, I've been walking up and down the side of this field for quite a few minutes trying to find a way out, and I'm pleased to say I have found the stile, but it's certainly well hidden through the undergrowth here. And there is the welcome sight of a waymarker. Whew. Well, we finally made it to the little village of Frome St Quintin. It was a challenge getting here. My advice to anybody doing this route is, after the bridge over the railway, just take the road to the village. It really was quite a challenge. Right, the first thing we'll have a look at is the little church. And this is the quite pretty church of St Mary. The nave and chancel originate from the 13th century, and then a short tower was added in the 14th century and the south porch in the 15th century, and then it was all restored in 1881. I think it's got 2 bells, and it's surrounded by a hedge in a corner of a field with no road access up to it. Possibly the original village centre might have been here before the plague, perhaps. Well, we'll have our usual little peep inside. There's the font, which I believe originates from the 12th century, so I presume it must have been from an earlier church. I don't know. And then coming through the nave, you've got this almost like flintwork stone on the walls, which is lovely. There's the pulpit on the left, wooden, carved, and then through into the chancel, up some steps, quite magnificent stained glass window above the altar, and the altar itself is stone and carved, and then behind it and around the sides you've got this pattern of tiles. Pretty little church. Well, Frome St Quintin's a very small village. Only something like 150 people live here, and it started to be built up around about the Roman times. Indeed, there was a Roman road out of Dorchester to the east of here, and there are plenty of natural springs in the locality. It was originally called Little Frome, meaning little estate by the River Frome. The St Quintin bit was added in the 13th century in honour of the Norman family of that name, who were lords of the manor. I think they were actually de St Quintin. And the manor had a mill and originally included Evershot and Holywell, but Evershot and Holywell became a separate parish, I think, in 1974. And just southeast of the church is the rectory, a sort of H-shaped building. Parts of the east wing dates to the 16th century and the west wing to the 17th century. And just west of the church is this terrific house, Frome House, which was built in the 18th century. I think there's a date of 1782 on the porch. I'm not sure. What a pretty little village Frome St Quintin is. Okay, well, we're leaving the village, heading northwards on a little road, and then we're going to look out for a track on our left, and that should take us back to the railway line. Aha, there's the track that I was looking for. So we just need to follow down here on the left. It's turned into quite a warm day, so fortunately I've got plenty of water for myself and Fiver. I don't think he's enjoying that. Good lad. Well, we may well have had a long, hot, dry summer, but a little bit of rain over the last few days has made so much difference. Just looking at the lushness of the grass now. Really noticeable. Well, this is where we've got to be a bit careful, crossing over the railway line. Now, just down there is the hamlet of Holywell, and that actually did have a railway station in the past. I think it was called Evershot Station, even though Evershot is to the west. And the station, which was on the Wiltshire, Somerset and Weymouth Railway, it opened in 1857 but closed in 1966. Well, crossing over the River Frome once more. Quite good flow. As I said, we're not that far from the source, so, and it does look quite clear as well. Oh, I love that tree. It's funny how sometimes the shapes of some trees just catch your eye, don't they? And that one certainly does with mine. We're seeing as we're on some high ground here. Let's have another little pit stop. That's Evershot, where we're heading towards, and there's this panning round to the west, and that was our outward journey over on that ridge there. I appreciate I'm pointing towards the sun, which is quite low this time of year. This is very much your typical rolling Dorset landscape. Whew. And this is our last stile of the walk, over this and then across the field and back to Evershot. Well folks, we've made it back to Evershot and the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Taves Countryside Walks. We've had a super walk today, challenging at times. We're a little bit muddier than when we started. Now unfortunately, although there is a pub in Evershot, the Acorn Inn, it doesn't open for quite a while, so no pub today, but time for a sausage. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Good boy.